Bob Arum says Terence Crawford is too talented for Errol Spence. He wins by knockout. What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red Sports. Let's talk about it. Alright, y'all. So, the big boss, the top-ranked boss, Big Bob Arum, gave his prediction, probably for the 50th time, on who wins the Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight. And he has some pretty interesting things to say about that, and I just want to give my 2 cents on what Bob Arum had to say. Alright, so Bob Arum basically said that Terence Crawford is way too talented for Errol Spence, and I want to break that down just a little bit, because I've heard this from a lot of the subscribers, a lot of the people that come through the channel. Not everybody's a subscriber, but a lot of people have said that they feel like Terence Crawford's more talented. And usually the one thing that they point to for why Terence Crawford is more talented is the fact that he was undisputed at 130.
I don't give a fuck about none of this shit. Shit is corny. You ain't worried about your children and your house. You whacked at me, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you worried about what other niggas think about you before what your kids think about you? You a fucking cornball.
And, I think that is true, but it was true 5 or 6 years ago. It was true when he was actually undisputed. It was true when he was at that weight class. It was true when he was fighting at that time. For the past 4 to 5 years, Terence Crawford has basically proven nothing except that he can maintain his O. That's about it, And when it comes to showing off your talent level, the fighters he's been facing up with haven't been of his talent level. So he hasn't been able to display his talent level and how high it is and why he's the better, because he's fighting people he was going to beat in the first place. So it really doesn't matter when he beats them. You already knew he was going to win that fight. This is the problem I have when people say that Terence Crawford is the more talented of the two guys. Terence Crawford has the better resume, or Terence Crawford was undisputed. Let me put it this way. If Errol Spence had one more belt, he would already be undisputed. And he would have went through 4 champions to become undisputed. I don't think Terence Crawford went through 4 seeded champions. I think Terence Crawford got the belts in a bulk type of situation. Like, he might have got 2 her, 2 over her, something of that nature. I don't think he had to go through 4 champions to actually get there. Errol Spence went through 4 champions. We can't sit here and deny the fact that is highly impressive. Now, I know people are going to argue, well, it shouldn't matter because if the guy he beat 2 guys to get there, it's basically the same thing. It's not, because it might take you 4 years to make 4 championship fights. Think about that. It might take you 4 years to make 4 championship fights. So unless Terence Crawford had to walk that walk for a significant amount of time, which means he not only faced those 4 champions, he probably faced more talented fighters during that time, up and coming guys in the middle of the championship fights, in the middle of trying to make those fights. You got to stay active, so you're fighting somebody. And that's what you can say about Errol Spence Jr. when it comes to his talent level.
It is him. He was asking about it.
He's faced up with all the best guys at 147. If Terence Crawford would have campaigned at 130 for, another year or 2 years, he would have proven his worth beyond the shadow of a doubt. Just becoming undisputed and then moving up and then not fighting anybody, worth talking about really doesn't really mean anything. And that goes for Errol Spence too. I'm not going to give Errol Spence credit for the same guys that Terence Crawford beat that were not on his level. Now, some of those guys were on a different talent level when Errol Spence fought them than when Terence Crawford fought them. And this is the big problem and the big disparity when it comes to Terence Crawford at 147. Yes, he fought some of the same names that Errol Spence fought, but we're talking two different types of talent level. When Errol Spence fought them, they were seeded champions. They were holding title belts. He took their title belts. When Terence Crawford fought them, they were on their way out the door anyway, so it didn't matter if he beat them. You know, he just picked up another W and another credible name for his resume. So, you know, when people say that Terence Crawford is more talented, I would say Terence Crawford has more skill sets than Errol Spence. This is true. He has speed. He has a little bit of power. He has ring movement. He has ring IQ. He has hand speed and foot speed. So you can give him 2 for that, you know. So he has like 6 or 7 good assets that he can lay his hat on. Where Errol Spence probably doesn't have that many. You know, I don't think he has great foot movement. But he substitutes great foot movement and fast foot speed for being very one-dimensional. And one-dimensional in a good way, because he sticks to what he's supposed to do. So if he's not moving quickly, it's because he's working off his jab. If he's not utilizing a lot of the ring, it's because he's had you cornered and you don't realize that you're cornered, and he doesn't have to use the ring. You know, so he has a good jab. He has power beyond a shadow of a doubt. He has ring IQ. He has, you know, a lot of boxing knowledge. You know, he works his hooks and things. He has good punches, to where I think Terence Crawford has a one-up on him with foot movement. That's where the fight is going to be won or lost, is with foot movement. If Terence Crawford can, once again, manage some type of fight like Vasyl Lomachenko put together, where he uses foot movement and angles and combination punches, he might actually beat Errol Spence. But the problem with that is, does Terence Crawford's power really carry? We don't know. Can he hurt Spence? We don't know, even though he hasn't been in the ring with fighters like Spence. And does Spence have something up his sleeve that, you know, we're not seeing coming, because he's had a year out of the ring to prepare for this fight? And he's been preparing for this fight specifically because this is the fight that he said he wanted, and he said he wasn't going to take any other fights. Now, I'm sure he would have taken a fight in between if they offered him the right fight and the right amount of money. If Canelo came along and said, hey, I'll fight you instead of Terence Crawford, he would have taken the fight. If Charlo would have offered him some ridiculous split, he would have taken the fight, you know. So let's not kid ourselves here. This is still professional boxing, which is based off of money, not, you know, what the fans think or even what promoters think all the time. If someone from the outside comes in and says, hey, I want to give you this money, you know, $200 million, Bob Arum or Al Heyman, to make a fight, believe me, they're going to make the fight. It's all about the money. But, you know, both of these guys, I think, have great talents. I just feel like Errol Spence is the king of welterweights, and it's on Terence Crawford to prove us all wrong. You know, it's not on Errol Spence, it's on Terence Crawford to get in there and prove that he is that guy. Now, Bob Arum also said that he thinks Terence Crawford is going to win by knockout. And I can see that, once again, if he can put together that foot movement, hand speed, angle combination, then he most likely could. But I didn't see that in the David Evansian fight. I didn't see that in the Shawn Porter fight. I don't see that happening in the Errol Spence Jr. fight, just to be honest with you. Now, let me know what y'all think about all that down in the comment section below. That like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. But you're more than likely to get a response on the tubes, so holler at me over there. If you like the collabo, feel free to hit my Gmail. It is flockofcards@gmail.com. If I don't get right back with you, if you emailed me, it's not that I don't want to get back with you, it's that I don't check that email all the time. So, get a lot of spam. So, you know, it's not that I don't want to holler at you. If you want your product to be featured on the channel, hit that same Gmail and we can make it happen. And we are man.
You want beef? Prepare for the devil. Put a dot right on your eyebrow like Ern Neville. It's a purring, I'm a rebel. Knock you off, break bread with your parents to settle. Out of court, every forgot me all out of sorts. Up north, they wetting up them new ports. But down here, they putting syrup on blacks. That city county merger got the sheriff on your back, along with the LPD. Still see me sitting low, getting blowed in the LTD. With a thick chick looking like Diamond's twin. With the ginger ale mixed with the lime and gin. Shitty. See, I'm pepper with the words. I'm sick when I'm sober, even better off the herb. You get wet up on the curb, if that's what you deserve. From the ghetto to the birds, what real niggas prefer. Young Keys, and I'm on the go. Blowing them trees when I'm on the road. DJ spin it and they on the flow. But it seems these motherfuckers still don't know about that nigga named Keys coming off the block. Still spitting hot flows off the top. Got the girls in the telly getting off the chain. Nigga named Lewis Keys finna change the game. Revolutionary, who can carry various styles into the booth. Put it down for you, so turn it up loud when you play me, G. When you see the cops press ATT, and you may see Keys where the ladies be. Handlebars tough like a ATV. Four-wheeler, gold-wheeler, cold spitter for show. By now, y'all niggas should know about that nigga named Keys coming off the block. Spitting them flows straight off the top. And got them girls in the telly getting off the chain. A nigga named Lewis Keys finna change the game, bitch. And I'm on the go. Blowing them trees when I'm on the road. DJ spin it and they on the flow. But it seems these motherfuckers still don't know about that nigga named Keys coming off the block. Still spitting hot flows off the top. Got the girls in the telly getting off the chain. Nigga named Lewis Keys finna change the game, bitch. It's your boy Lewis Keys. And that's sick. Give a shout out to my boy E. What's up? Do your thing out there. You feel me? Handle your business. Get the product down to Dallas for me. Let them niggas know. Yeah. My nigga LaRon. Get it out there in Cali for me. Sauce gonna holler his peoples down to ATL. Get it circulating down there. I'ma holler at my peoples, get it floating around in Boston. You feel me? It ain't no thing. And you know we in Cincinnati, Nashville, all that shit like every day. So you know what I'm saying? Sooner or later they all gonna know.